Welcome to Cartoons and Creatures. You can find us on the web at cartoonsandcreatures.com, all one word. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for coming on the Haps. We're going to have a little bit of fun tonight with framing. So, in every artist's career, part of the goal is to make sure that your art is seen. Unless you're Toulouse-Lautrec and you save all your art in your second floor apartment over the bar and make a living doing posters, and then once you're dead, they sell all your art for millions and millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm in a wonderful show that is going to happen next week. On the 4th of October, it opens. And in order to get ready for that show, what I need to do is I need to frame 6 of my pieces. So let's take kind of a look at what pieces we're going to be playing with. There's a lot, because they're all very, very different sizes. Now, I have this lovely box, which I put in like works that are current, things that I'm working and have declared finished. But what also happened, which was really, really cool, was when I started digging around my stuff and I started finding some really nice, really neat things, like my steampunk logo from a few years back. I'm so glad I found it. I have it scanned, but now I have it again, and it makes me very, very happy. Look at this little, speaking of cartoons and creatures. So this is one of my all-time favorites. It's colored pencil and ink on, is it colored pencil? No, it's ink washes and ink on colored paper. Those guys are really, really cute, and I'd love to put them in the show, but I've already committed to 6 pieces. And they're all new works. This was from, let's see, 2013. Can you guys believe that that was 8 years ago? I'm like flabbergasted at that sort of thing, because I don't, yeah, never mind, I'm old. Our steampunk frame, which actually I might use tonight. Not sure. So we'll put that over with the matting materials. Just some other stuff. Oh, treasures. Here we go. Our steampunk gunman for hire. Oh, love this guy. Gotta figure out what to do with him. Don't know yet. Nice, lovely gunship from the second unfinished novel, the follow-up to Broken Silences. My good friend and master carpenter, Chris Knoyer, went ahead and I had a picture of him from when he starred for me as George Bailey in Wonderful Life. And I kind of like, said, hey, can I use that picture? Gee, thanks. And he became the reference photo for that. There's a few more in there. Of course, our amazing, our lovely Bailey, whom we love. That's a scary picture. That's me. And the original of the dragon, the red dragon, the one that so far has been kind of a fave out there. So what are we going to frame today? If we're framing these things, let's take a look at what we have to play with. So you're probably familiar with this guy. I think we worked on him during one of the shows. This is actually entitled Birth of a Rebellion. So this little guy is rebelling in a dystopian society. He's one of the workers. He's down in the dregs, and he's pieced together this really cool robot out of all of the junk. Now, the robot was originally an enforcer robot from the, horrible thing that makes life dystopian. We've got our steampunk dragon. I love this guy. Technically, this is called the Master. So these are all like 2020 and 2021 works, I think. Yep. So this was 2020. These are 2 are 21. 21 again. Our favorite, our little dwarf. I'm trying to remember what else I committed for the show. Got a whole slew of dragons here. Fairies, dragons, fairies, fairies, dragons, dragons, fairies, fairies. Look who's there! Okay. Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I know you're wondering who's 5 and 6. Well, first off, the green man is 5. And to go back with the steampunk portion, because most of what I've got here is steampunk, the green man is the only one that's just spiritual. For the other steampunk portion, we have this amazing, you walk into the back very dramatically, lovely printed Giclée. This is a Giclée print. If you're curious as to where I have my prints done, there is a phenomenal print shop near me called Providence Picture Frame. And I don't know if you can quite grasp the detail from this. I'm trying to be very, very careful with it. But this is one of my digital works that is now live and in living color, so to speak. So, this one's a very complicated piece that I think I'm going to hold off on as far as us framing that. It's a little bit too much. What I really wanted to talk about today was, what do you do with extra frames, frames from old stuff that you're like, I don't think I'll ever use that. That's how I like to frame. And the reason why is not because I'm like a hoarder and a junk person. It's more the economics of buying frames and mats and whatnot. I don't know if anybody here has gone to, say, one of the major retailers of art supplies that also does framing. Frames are expensive, and they are even more expensive now with all the supply shortages that we've been having. So today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our own frames using frames that maybe we have some stuff that's been lying around for a bit, or inexpensive frames from those very frame shops that have lots and lots of people coming into them and paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Let's talk about how to make it work for yourself for under, let's say under 10. That's about where I'm going to do it. Under 10 bucks. So I used to sell prints of my work long, long ago, and to be completely honest with you, and it didn't really do so well. So I've got these, mats that I used to use for all my stuff. It looks like Bailey wants to go upstairs. I'm just going to let him go. Okay, bud. Here we go. Finished basements are great, but dogs can't reach doorknobs. Okay, so let's take another peek here what we have. I think we're going to start with something simple. So we'll start with the master. That's the pencil and graphite drawing that I did. I just did because I redid something that I had in my catalogs all over the place that was very intriguing, that some people liked and said, ooh, hey, you should do that again or make another copy of that. So I'm going to try to find a frame that's good for him. Now, right now, I've got some really funky gold frames. I've got wicked cheap. Wicked! I'm in New England. Really, really cheap frames. I got this little guy over here, but we're not going to do that because he's not going to fit. And he's just about going to fit in there. And I think I want to give him a little bit more oomph. Let's see what we got for matting. Ooh. I think we have a winner here. We do. Oh. Turn the camera down so you guys can see. Okay, I can't zoom in today because I've got just my computer to play with. My other equipment is otherwise occupied. Now you see how the right mat just pops that out? If I were to use a white mat, it would be kind of meh, and just sort of there. It wouldn't make those highlights, the black, so potent as this is. So this is great because I've already got the mat, the backing board, the piece fits in the mat nicely. Now we just got to find a frame. So let's take a look and see what we got. My lovely cut rail. So we've got 11 inches. I'm guessing 14. 11 by 14, that's standard. Let's go check in the back, see what we got. I hit a sale at Michael's. Everybody loves sales at Michael's. So what have I gotten there? Well, I got some stuff that looks sort of steampunky or wooden or black or something that's going to go with pretty much anything. Very dark frames, mostly because they're gonna do the trick. So right here, I have an 11 by 14 with an 8 by 10 opening because it already comes with a mat. Well, let's see here. I do not need this mat, but I'm going to use the backing board because the backing board actually has some hanging hardware on it. That makes life a lot easier. And this guy, let's see if he goes with this before we start anything else. I don't like it. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's see if somebody else will go in there. Let's see. I think he might be a winner. That'll be good framing. This guy is too big, I think. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe we can do a full frame version. Nope, 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 nope. He's 10 by 13. That's not gonna work. What about our dragon, our steam dragon? Could he go in there? Yeah, but again, it's wood. It's not gonna do it. Not gonna happen. So far, this guy's the only winner that looks like he might go in this one just fine. So I think we're gonna put you. You have to wait, my friend. All right. So I've got this open. Now in the back, how these things work is they have these little tabs. So normally I take off 3 sides of the tab. I leave the bottom one on, just so that I have something to put the frame back into. And it also saves me a lot of time and trouble trying to pull up tabs, because I know that's fun. Oh, hey Molly, how are we doing tonight? Good? Oh, you're doing good. What do we got here? I do not know what this is and why did they put that in there. And a piece of plastic that says recyclable micropack. That seems like a waste to me. We'll recycle it for them. We'll help them out. Now I have to press the front of the frame because otherwise I'm not gonna get this out. This is, God, this is a cheap mat. Okay, so this is no. Considering this only cost me $5, I'll deal. Let's look and see what we got. So I've got an 11 by 14 white here from an old print. Thankfully, this one was in its print bag, so we're pretty good with that. And our friend here, I kind of like composed it in such a way that it's got its own double matting. So, bit of advice, make sure that you try everything out for size before you start taping anything or gluing anything down. You want to just take a peek at what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this down in here. It's a little tight, I might have to cut it. Just shave off a little from the side. Okay, and just holding it tight here. Looks pretty good. I'll bring it up close for you to see. Not bad. And considering it's ballpoint and pencil, yeah, this works for me. So let's make this happen. All right. We know we got to shave this down just a little bit because it is not healthy right now. The one thing you always want to do is make sure that your work, all of your work, is secure and out of the way of your cutting surfaces. Why? That's a great question. Why? Because I know somebody that was cutting a piece of work for a grad program, some mat board, and actually left the piece underneath the mat board. Right through the work. Not fun. Ooh, I think I found a frame. We'll deal with that later. This is my old logo. Alrighty, so we've got this, and I'm going to need to shave it just a little bit. I think maybe the backing board is what I needed to shave. So let's take that frame back out again. And kind of take a peek at that. So I'm going to try just the mat in here. And the mat could use a little trimming. Not much, so I think I can get that in. Oh, that's not underneath the little thingies. Yeah, this would be much more comfortable if I got a little tiny trim. Now I've got the backing board, so I don't have to worry about that. But how, Jay? How are you going to trim that so lightly? This is a cutting rail. Okay. Cutting rails allow you to put your knife on one side. Oh, bring it over so you can see it. And cut inside. The best part is your fingers can go here and not get hit by the blade. I'll demonstrate. It also has a little bit of a raggy side to it, so it might be good to get rid of that. Now I'm cutting the back of the mat, not the front. The reason I'm doing that is because if I slip and cause a scoring, it's going to be on the back and no one will see it. I'm very, very gingerly going to take off our little tiny curlicue. My cats would have a field day with that. Okay, but I want to make sure that it's still even and it fits. It fits. It's a little bit uneven now. So I'm going to take care of a curlicue on the other side just as well. I'm eyeballing this because I'm only taking off a sliver, and I kind of know generally how I would do that. Normally, I would always suggest measuring everything perfectly before you make a cut, which we'll look at in a minute. But I wanted to show you a quick one first. Okay, so here's our frame. Aha! Success. A nice mat, ready to rock and roll. And so far, the only thing I've spent is $5.99. That guy. And here we go. Okay. So there's a couple ways to do this when you're actually putting together your piece. I'm going to use the backing board. Using the backing board means there's a hardware defect there. This might not be the best idea because this is going to go in back of the paper and it might damage the piece underneath. However, they only had that flimsy little mat. I hesitate even to call it a mat. That piece of gloss paper. That's what was holding us down. So we're already increasing how much we're putting in here by quite a bit. And this is the tricky part. It's always the tricky part. Lining everything up just so. Now, especially because I have a line in my composition here. I want to make sure that the line is just as straight as the mat is, if the mat's cut properly. So let's get out our handy dandy ruler. Don't want to use a cutting rail on this. Okay. So let's see what we got here. 3/4 of an inch on that side. And 3/4 of an inch there. Good, we're good. So now how do I get that thing to stick? Well, I got two choices. I can use double-sided tape, permanent double-sided tape, or I can use linen paper tape. Linen paper tape is really expensive. And to be honest, I don't need it for this. Linen paper tape is great when you're doing something really, bulky that's going to need the extra force to hold it. So let's get the regular tape. It seemed my tape has migrated. Okay. So we're going to switch out of this. We know that this one works. This one's in place. What I'm going to do is I am going to very gently put this all together and move it to a secure spot. Now, let's work on cutting them out from scratch. Let's take a look at these things. So I've got that board here. There we go. Ooh. And do I have a little piece to go in it? Well, I've got the dragon. And the dragon, who would look fabulous in black, by the way, is obviously a lot bigger than standard, right? So we're gonna have to figure something else out today. That one works really well for the picture of the master. Let's figure out what we can do for this guy. I happen to have a whole bunch of scrap mat board lying around. Gee, I wonder how that happened. Is this mat board? Yep, black mounting board. This is black mounting board. So we gotta get exact measurements on this, and then I can go for the mat board. So it's gonna be a full page because part of it is really close to the edge. So we're looking at probably a 9 by 12 here. Yep. And I'm going to cut it in by 1/8 of an inch on every single side so that this has kind of like a stop to there. So what sort of frame do I have to put it in? That's the other question. Where are my frames? Let's take out this guy. This thing is filthy and it's going to have to get washed, but it's really old. Doesn't work for me. Got this wood on it, not happening. Not liking it. Ooh. This is interesting. A 9 by 12 frame. Did we just hit the jackpot? I don't know. He's all steamy and not wooden. There's only one way to find out. Let's try it. I don't prefer it. I'd much rather use like an 11 by 14 or 11 by 17 frame to get it in. Might have one of those hanging around. Again, here I am utilizing bought materials. I try not to. Sometimes I'm going to run short on what I actually have in stock. Goes up just a little bit this time. Okay, backing board. Ooh, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. The reason being is because the other one is, is small enough that backing board is fine on that because it's going to, the little divot here, little rivet, is going to get hidden underneath the picture. But in this one, the rivet is right underneath his head. Ooh, I don't like that. I might have to use just another backing board then instead, which would be fine because that particular backing board is pretty hefty. We can use maybe an old backing board from an old piece that I've unframed at this point. Okay. Let's see what he looks like in here, just for giggles. You guys probably have a glare, but now with this, he's already got a border on him. I don't know. I'm kind of liking it. I think we found a winner, guys. I prefer a black frame, but that means I have to go out and buy a black frame. I don't buy a black frame. These were on sale. I'll use these. Okay, let's see. So we need to cut a 9x12 backing board. We're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to redo hardware as well. So I'm gonna take this old backing board that I have. This is funny, it's got my old, my old sticker on it from previous website, previous everything. So let's just remove that, shall we? Phone number is still the same, so we can still leave that. And that website is long gone. Back before I understood that I could brand with my name. That's kind of what I have now. I've got Carters and Creatures, of course, but I also have a brand that is my name. Okay, what do we got here? It's 25 pence. All right. This I'm going to have to mark up. I'm going to mark this one up because this is a little bit different. I want to make sure that I've got 9x3. 9x3. 9x12. All right, so this is 11 inches, so I'm going to try to take an inch off of each side. Like so. Why take them on both sides, Jay? Not just because I have this sticker in the middle that's placed dead center, and it's going to look really wonky if I try to do it otherwise. But it's only the back. Yes, but it's got my name on it. You want to be careful with your name. Make sure that whatever it is, somebody's associating your product with a good product, careful craftsmanship, etc., etc. And proof positive that measuring 3 times is better. This one is off by 1/16 of an inch. Let's see. Oh, I can afford to take stuff off the bottom of this one. But it's by 14. This is by 12. So actually, I'm going to take just 2 inches straight off the bottom. And I need to be perfect. So I gotta make sure I get that too. And then, oh, sounds like Baby wants to get back downstairs. Back in just a second. Here we go. I've got that marked out, and we're gonna cut it just in a minute. Oh, okay. All right, you got it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. He was trying to get downstairs. I thought he was going to come downstairs. All right, so I'm going to finish this up. And I want to get at least one done. This is probably our best candidate. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm cutting in several cuts with this because at this point, I don't have to shave off anything. Shaving, it kind of gets a little close. I'm going to use this and just score it several times. This is old mat work. So taking 3 times to get through it, applying just a small amount of pressure. If I were to kind of like try to hack through it, if I miss, well, I know my fingers are slightly protected by the mat rail, but if I were to jump it, that would become a little bit problematic. So here we go, 9x12. Yay! all set. Back that in there, there. And I had a friend that used to say, Bob's your uncle. And I used to respond, nope, Bob's my dad. Oh, looks like it's a little tight. We might have to shave a little bit. Just give it a little bit of that. I'm going to take off like a 30 seconds of an inch here. Nowhere near as much as I did on the last one. Okay. And the top, that was pretty tight too. So let's take a little bit of that. There we go. That should fit just fine. Now I've got paper down on the table because I want to make sure that I don't get anything like on the mats or on frames, etc. And so I always try to make sure that I've got that sort of stuff on. Okay, and there we go. Here's our favorite, and as I say that, I've got a little bit of paint that ended up on my piece here. Okay. There we go, all framed up and ready to go. Except one thing. There's no way to hang it. Let's go with hanging. You underneath here because it looks like I have a little foible there. I'll just figure out how to correct. Hanging. Hanging apparatus should be put on. This is a 10-inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my mark at 3 inches. It's not quite a third, which is what you should do, is 1/3 the way down. But when it's small like this, it's kind of one of those things where it's just a little too small to go ahead and do that. All right, brand new package of picture hanging kit from like, I don't even know how long ago. I'm not gonna count it into costs because it's years old. So it's one of those, how, you know, I never really used it anyway. Now you calculate the cost, and I don't know how much I paid for it. It's long been paid for. This is the last thing I think we're gonna do tonight, so I wanna make sure that I get it and get some other stuff done. And this one's really easy. So this little hanging kit comes with wire. This wire is, looks like about 18 gauge or 14 gauge. It's really, it's not terribly strong, but we don't need terribly strong because we're doing this little tiny piece. Oh, and there's my compadre. Okay, so as soon as I get these pieces in, I think we're gonna call it a night. I gotta go handle some other things. I got a nice bunch of stuff that I'm trying to work on here at the house. So this was kind of a little derivation from our one. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it a short night anyway. It's 6:34. So all I did was I took my X-Acto and I just sort of twisted it around to create a little hole. Put my eye hooks in. Now, I could have disassembled the whole thing and put my eye hooks in the sides like that. It's not always necessary. Because, to be honest, these are kind of like lightweight eye hooks. So I can bend them down like so, and they're flush with my bat. Little gold rings. Alrighty. Hanging wire. we take the hanging wire. Let's get it through one side and crimp about 2 inches over. And I take the hanging wire and I'm going to run it a few times around itself and then a few times back again toward the eye hook. Once it's wrapped around and secure, that's it. We're all set. Now, this is a small piece. Because it's a small piece, I should probably make this as taut as I can versus what I would do on a larger piece, which is give it some play. It's not the best thing to do to cut your wire with X-Actos, but it works. When you're in a pinch and you don't want to grab a pair of wire cutters. On the lighter wire, you can just kind of like very carefully slip through it. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it taut. And even taut, the wire's got some play to it, which is fine. Because it's got to find a hook and hang. Wrap that around. I think that $7 frame looks like $1 million. So that worked out quite well. Now we've got the frame set up for the other ones, and we're set up for our friend, the dwarf. He's all ready to go. He just needs a frame to go into. And we're all set on this guy. So I'm a lot further ahead than I was when I started this little, very short adventure this evening. And I am going to cut it short because I've got to go and work on some stuff, etc., etc. And we'll see you next week. And we're actually going to be working on the dragon painting again, because this will all have to be put together and delivered at the gallery. Have a wonderful night, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and make art. Or frame it.